sisters and brothers, this is a proclamation of the Holy Gospel as we find in the tradition of St. John.
Glory to you, Lord.
There was one named John sent by God who came as a witness to testify to the light, so that through him all might believe. But only to testify to the light, for he himself was not the light. When the temple authorities sent some priests and Levites to John to ask, "Who are you?" he did not refuse to answer, but answered openly, "I am not the Messiah." "Well then," they asked, "are you Elijah?" "I am not Elijah," he answered. "Are you a prophet?" "I am not," he answered. Finally they said to him, "Who are you? Give us some answer to take back to those who sent us. Where have you come from, and what do you say for yourself?" John, quoting the prophet Isaiah, said, "I am a voice in the desert crying out, make straight the way for the sovereign one." Now some Pharisees who had been sent questioned him further. "Why then do you baptize if you are not the Messiah, or Elijah, or a prophet?" "I baptize with water. There is one among you whom you do not recognize, the one who is to come after me, the strap of whose sandal I am unworthy to unfasten." This happened in Bethany across the Jordan, where John was baptizing. This is the good news of our salvation.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Sometimes these ancient traditions that we have in our church, like Advent, used to fit very nicely into our society. But as time goes on, something is lost, because Advent was created, was established, was practiced within a society that was quite different from our own. It was established as a time of waiting, of joyful anticipation. It was established to prepare for the coming of the Messiah at Christmas. It was also a time to reflect on Christ's second coming back in glory. Advent was celebrated very much like Lent. It was a severe time. It was a time of prayer and penance and fasting. And in the church's knowledge, she knew her children could not be beaten down for 4 or 5 weeks. And so in the middle of this experience, there was a little bit of lessening of that penitential spirit. And as you see today, instead of wearing the dark purple or blue, we have gone to rose. And today we are celebrating Gaudete Sunday. Let us rejoice. But one of the hallmarks of this time has always been patience. Patiently waiting for the coming of the Messiah. And I reflected on this week as I prepared for today, and I said, how foreign is this idea of waiting from us? Everything is instantaneous now. We have a cell phone that we can contact anybody in the world. And if it doesn't happen immediately after pushing the right buttons, we become upset. Not reflecting on the fact that it's got to go to a satellite somewhere above the earth and come back to us, but that's beside the point. It's not now. In the late 60s, we had a revolution outside of the social revolution that took place in the late 60s. This was a culinary revolution, the microwave. Dinner in minutes. The busy housewife could prepare a beautiful dinner within 30 minutes. given the fact if she bought the right frozen foods and knew how to operate properly the microwave. And so instead of spending hours on a dinner preparing for her family, now 30 minutes. And the family could come together to eat this healthy, delicious cuisine that was prepared in such a short time. And what did she do with the rest of the time that she used to be in the kitchen preparing that meal? Does the family get together afterwards to share the joys and the sorrows and the concerns of the day? Do they get together to pray? Do they spend that extra time getting to know one another on an ever-deepening level? Probably not. Pop goes to his room and reads the paper. Mom is in the kitchen with the dishes. The kids are upstairs texting one another from across the hall, or their friends. And the family splits up and having even more time to spend by themselves. Advent is a time of waiting. Waiting in patient anticipation. Waiting knowing that the time is near. And the surprise of what is going to take place is coming to pass. But we are immediate people. We are not patient people. We are of our age where we push a button and it's done. And we've lost that sense of anticipation. That joyful anticipation which this season is supposed to engender in each one of us. So that when the time comes and the dawn has broken in the darkness of our winter night, we stand in awe at the promise coming to pass. We have lit our third candle this morning, and even we have to say we bow to immediacy in using a battery-operated candle. What can you do? As they say, when in Rome. But it does help when the air conditioning is on or when the fan is on, because it doesn't blow out the candles, but be that as it may. We light this third candle recognizing that we are entering into the third week of Advent with only one more week to go. A week from this Thursday, we will be celebrating the incarnation of God's only Son. As we enter into this third week, let us try to put away the immediacies of our life. Let's try to sit patiently, looking forward to the promise, looking forward to that day when we can celebrate the fact that Christ is born, that the incarnate Son of God walks among us. Let us pray that we can be patient people and reflect on what St. James says in his letter so beautifully. Like the farmer that goes out and sows the seed and waits for the early spring rain and waits in joyful anticipation for the seed to sprout and to bear fruit. Some things just cannot be hurried. Some things just cannot work out in a microwave. And one of those things is our joyful anticipation for the coming of the Lord.